Okay, let's review Sohcahtoa, or primary trig ratios. All right, so primary trig ratios are only for right angle triangles. Okay, you'll recall that a right angle triangle means that there's an angle that's 90 degrees, and this little square here tells you that that particular angle is the one that's 90 degrees. Okay. The first thing to do when we're looking at primary trig ratios is labeling your triangle. Okay, so the angle right across from the 90-degree angle is called your hypotenuse. Okay, and then you usually have an angle of reference or angle of focus. That's either going to be an angle that you're looking for or an angle you're given other than the 90-degree angle. Okay, and across from that angle, that side we call opposite. And then the leftover side, we refer to it as adjacent. Adjacent actually means next to the reference angle. Okay, so label your triangle. First, locate your hypotenuse across from the 90, then determine your angle of focus, and then across from your angle of focus is opposite, and then the last angle, the last side that we're going to label is adjacent. Okay, often we just use HO and A instead of writing hype, op, or adjacent. Okay, now the primary trig ratio sine theta is opposite over hypotenuse. Cos theta is adjacent over hypotenuse. And tan theta is opposite over adjacent. You often hear people refer to this as Soh Cah Toa. Okay, that is a way to help remember the trig ratios. Okay, and Sohcahtoa, that's what it means. S is for sine, O is for opposite, and H is for hypotenuse. And the same with cos, and the same with tan. Okay, so now let's see how we actually use these trig ratios. All right, so in this first triangle, let's see what side we want to find. Let's actually find our hypotenuse. Okay, let's put our X over here. They didn't tell us which one, so we're going to determine it. Okay, so I want to find that side. So the very first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to label my triangle. Okay, across from my 90, that side is called your hypotenuse, or just H. Okay, actually, I'm just going to leave it as H. And then here is my angle of focus, which is 20 degrees. So across from the 20 is opposite. And the third side I'm going to label is adjacent. So here, what do I actually want to find? I actually want hypotenuse, right? That's the side that we're actually looking for. And that side is called hypotenuse. And what am I given? We're given an angle, right? The 20 degrees. And we're also given adjacent. Oops, forgot to change the color of my pen. Okay, so we have H and we have A. Out of your trig ratios, so I'm going to write my Sohcahtoa down. Okay, and I'm going to determine now what trig ratio I'm going to use. So what trig ratio uses A and H? Okay, sine uses O and H, so it's not sine. Cos uses A and H. So the trig ratio that I'm actually going to use is cos. Okay, so now that we determined the trig ratio, we're just going to set up our equation. So cos theta is A over H. Now I'm going to plug in our unknowns, or actually what we actually know. Okay, so the angle is 20. So instead of theta, I'm going to write in 20. A is 31. And H we don't know, so I'm going to put an X for H. Okay, now we're going to solve for H. The unknown is at the bottom. When the unknown is at the bottom, an easy way to solve this is just switch these two. Just switch that. Okay. So X will come up here. They'll trade places. And cos 30 or cos 20 will come down here. Okay. We're going to go ahead and put that in the calculator. So X turns out to be 33 meters. Okay. If the unknown was on top, then you would multiply. Okay. So for example, let's say, it's not like this, but let's say, say you had cos 20 and the unknown was on top, and let's say that 50 was at the bottom. In this case, you would multiply. 50 cos 20 is equal to X. Okay, this is actually not part of our question, but just in case you're wondering, well, what if the unknown was on top instead of the bottom? Okay, so that's just an aside. It's actually not part of our question. Okay, our question ended right here. Okay, let's take a look here now. For this one here, let's find an angle. Okay, so the angle we want to find, let's say we want to find angle B. Okay, again, the first thing you're going to do is you're going to label your triangle. You're going to start by labeling your H, your hypotenuse. Okay, then you look at your angle of reference or your focus angle. And across from your focus angle, opposite that is your opposite. And your third side is adjacent. Okay, then you're like, okay, what do we know? Well, we know H and we know O. So the trig ratios, let me just write them all down. Which one would use O and H? Yes, you're correct. Sine. Right? So here we're looking for the angle, and you're given O and H. So let's set it up. Sine theta is opposite over hypotenuse. Remember, you don't have to memorize these ratios. They're all in our classroom and they're written here. Okay, so you don't have to actually memorize them. Okay, so sine theta. If you don't like the letter theta, you can put an X. Okay, 19 over 35. Okay, so go ahead and put that in your calculator. If you're using decimal, so to find angle theta, to find the angle, you got to use the inverse of sine. So if you're using decimal, go to the tab, the function tab, the third tab, and look for your inverse button. So it'll have sine and then -1. And then in brackets, 19 divided by 35. Anytime you need to find an angle, you need to use that inverse. Okay? So angle theta turns out to be 33 degrees. There you have it. And that's Soh Cah Toa, or your primary trig ratios.